My name is Sarah Topol, and the Pulitzer Center for Crisis Reporting sent me and Glenna Gordon, a photographer, to Nigeria to look at child soldiers in Boko Haram. So you see a lot of headlines about the conflict in northern Nigeria and Boko Haram. You see things like famine, starvation, displacement, acute child malnutrition, abduction, murder, rape. But what you don't really hear about is what happens to children who are abducted, what their lives are like. I had worked in Nigeria before and written a story about the Chibok abduction, about what happened to the girls who were taken by Boko Haram in April of 2014. But what we didn't find out much about was what happened to the kids that didn't escape, and what happens to kids who are abducted and forced to live under the control of Boko Haram. So Glenna and I traveled to Nigeria for a month and spent 3 weeks in Maiduguri, which is the capital of Borno State. We also traveled to Bama and Monguno, which are two cities outside of the capital, by helicopter with the UN. The boys I ended up focused on were from Baga, which is a fishing village on the shores of Lake Chad. But I spoke to a lot of other children, and it turned out that, child soldiers perform a lot of different roles for militant groups. They don't just take guns and shoot people. They perform a lot of logistical or tactical support roles, including I spoke to a child who was given a bicycle by Boko Haram and told to ride around the camp and serve tea all day. I spoke to another kid who had to crawl behind the insurgents as they advanced, carrying a bag of ammunition and throw magazines to senior fighters who had expended all of their ammunition. I spoke to other kids who were soldiers and who shot people, and I spoke to girls who were also given weapons training and who went on raided villages in the Northeast. So you had kids who were taken either by strangers or even by people they knew, taken to a camp, shoved into a room, held there for about a week, and then taken out and told that they would now receive the kind of training or indoctrination that the group decided to use. In each case, kids are making choices of survival. I spoke to one girl who had been trained in weapons, and she was forcibly married to 3 different men, and that's raped. But they don't refer to it that way. So the second husband that she had was going back to her village where she knew her mother was, and she decided to pretend that she was in love with him so that he would pass a message to her mother. And I found these moments of autonomy or of decisions or calculations to survive to be among the most interesting that I saw in the course of my reporting. A lot of people have asked me, why do you think that these kids spoke to you? No one has ever asked these children what they wanted or how they felt or what it was like. And we have a lot of international aid organizations that are based in Maiduguri that are doing things like peer-to-peer counseling, talking about acute malnutrition, school services, the importance of education, potable water. But this isn't trickled down. The lucky few are able to get these services, but for the majority of the kids in northeastern Nigeria, they're left to fend on their own. And I think that's why all these kids showed up day in and day out to talk to me. It was just because there was finally somebody there to listen.